Hey, I'm Pat Porter with RecLand Realty. Here we talk about the rural real estate business and ideas and information to help you better manage and enjoy your own property. In this video, I'm going to give you the 3 things that happen when I give a client my suggested pricing on a piece of rural real estate when we're getting ready to put it on the market. A lot of people ask me, Pat, how in the world do you come up with prices for the land that you list? Well, it's just part of the business. You got to have a general understanding of what stuff is worth. Got to have an idea of what the market value is in your city, your area, your region, your state, wherever you are. And that's just part of being in the business, and that comes with experience pretty much. Yeah. There's a lot of data out there. There's information you can tap into to help you, pinpoint some general ranges of what certain types of land is selling for. But at the end of the day, it comes down to experience, because you take all the data and you pull it all together and you plug in all the variables that go with it: location, type, use, what the market's like right now, the hunting habitat, all the good, bad, and the ugly about the tract. You plug all that into the formula, and that formula is in your brain, and then you come up with what is, in my opinion, a market value range. I never give anybody an exact number, so much per acre. I give them a range. Like I did a gentleman on the phone this morning, I told him $2,200 to $2,500 an acre. That's my range. That was a $300 window there, and that's pretty reasonable for what we do in rural real estate, especially land that has some moving parts: timber, access, rural home site potential, secluded area, the population base surrounding. There's a lot of variables that go in, and so I give people a range, and then we determine an asking price, and then I tell them, hey, if you get offers in or around the range that we're agreeing on, then you got a choice to make. And that's usually the way I say it, meaning you got a choice. Am I going to sell it or not? But that range is going to be pretty telling. With that in mind, I want to tell you the 3 things that happen when I give somebody that range. Happened yesterday right here at this desk. Had a gentleman sitting across from me there, and it was a very unique property. It's going to be a 7-figure listing, unique, cool tract, beautiful, gorgeous place in Louisiana. But it had some unusual features, a lot of things that make the tract not your everyday average 250 acre timberland tract. In a nutshell, I went and did some research on the property. I went and looked at it, spent a half a day on it. I got pictures, video. I did everything I was going to do in preparation for listing it. I sat down and I calculated out in my mind what I thought was the reasonable asking price. And it was a range. And it was going to be a range of from about 1.1 to about $1.3 million. That was the range on this property, because it had some really odd features, some really odd variables that really made it tough to nail down a tighter range. 1.1 to 1.3. Now keep in mind, I had no idea what this gentleman wanted to ask for the property. He was coming to me. I had a pretty good idea he was going to move forward with listing it with us. But after I looked at it and I told him I'd tell him what I thought, we'd sit down and we'd come to an agreement on an asking price, and we'd make a plan. So 1.1, 1.3 is my numbers. I've got it written on a sheet of paper. I've got all the details written. I have no idea what he's thinking. So we sit down. I go through my little spiel there in about a minute, telling him why I thought it was 1.1 to 1.3. He's got a stone cold poker face. And then I get finished and I say, so what do you think? I think I agree with your numbers. And so, well, I was a little bit surprised, because usually on a 7-figure deal like that, and you got a lot of moving parts, typically the sellers, the owners, put more value in some of that stuff than I would put on it. And so I really thought that I was going to have a debate with him, to agree on a price. But he said, I agree with your numbers. Let's move forward. So, okay, well, that's really unusual. But here's the thing. 3 things could happen from that point right there. Now, whether it's the 1.1 to 1.3 deal, or whether it's a 40-acre deal at $1,500 an acre, makes no difference. Whether it's a 5-bedroom, 3.5 bath, 2,500 square foot home, whatever. It doesn't matter. The real estate is sort of the moving part in all of this. Here are the 3 things that happen when I present my estimate on retail price for a customer. Number one, they're just going to say, hey, yeah, I agree, let's move forward. Just like this gentleman did. And the gentleman I talked to on the phone this morning about 39 acres. He said, Pat, you're the expert in that area. I trust your judgment. Whatever you say, let's do it. Both of those were, easy buttons. Just push the button, they agree, let's move forward and list it. And so that's what we do. And then I'll set an asking price just a little above what I think is the top end range of the retail number. That 22 to 2,500 acre tract that I listed this morning, we're going to ask $26.50. That's a reasonable asking price, just above the top of the range. That gives a little ability for sellers to move and negotiate when people make them an offer. That's reasonable. The sellers will say, yes, I agree, let's move forward. Or the sellers will say, no way, I can't believe, no, it's worth $3.5 million. I wouldn't take a penny less than, 2.9 or whatever, and we're just way off on what I believe the market value is and what their expectations are. And when we're way off like that, I usually say, hey, I'm good, but I'm not that good. That's my normal speech right there. I'm good, but I'm not that good. I just let them walk away because, at this stage in our business, we can't afford to spend a lot of time and effort, money, advertising properties where the retail range and the expectation of the seller is so far apart that we're just really going to spin our wheels and waste our time. Buyers won't engage a property that's priced to the moon and back because they're thinking, why waste my time doing any research, doing any work on a property when I know that they're not going to take my offer. They're not even going to engage me. So they won't even waste their time. So sellers make a mistake when they have unrealistic expectations. They're right to have whatever expectation they have. So I just let them walk. So they either agree, I let them walk. Number three, which is sort of a hybrid of the two. Folks, I'm good at my business. I really am. I'm pretty confident in what I do, but I know that I'm not perfect. I am not so arrogant to think that just because I think this, that it's this. I realize there are properties out there in our business that are unique, have a lot of variables. Somebody may be willing to pay this higher number for this particular tract, for this type of property. And I'm willing to accept that. Now, if it's a 40-acre timberland tract with pine plantation growing on it in the middle of central Louisiana, it is what it is. But if it is a tract with a lot of unique features, a lot of water features, a lot of unique improvements, located in certain strategic areas, I'm willing to say, hey, there could be a lot more upside than I think or that the current data shows. And I'm willing to work with that person. And here's how I work with them. I say, hey, you may be right. It may be at this higher number. And what I'm willing to do, if you're willing to work with me, is let's put it out there at your number. Let's give it a try. You may be right, and we don't want to miss that upside. I don't want to miss that upside on my part, and I certainly don't want to shortchange the seller. I want them to get that upside. I honestly do. And so I say, let's try it. But, and I give them this big caveat, if in 4, 6, 8 weeks we're getting nothing from the market, I mean, it is crickets. That's the market weighing in and saying, hey, that's just not even on the planet. That's not anywhere near the reality. The market never lies. The market's never wrong. The market doesn't have any emotion in this. The market is what it is. And if nobody's making a peep on this property, the way we advertise, the way we market, it's the price. So if you're willing, listen to the market in 6 to 8 weeks. I'm willing to throw it out there and let's try it. But if the market speaks and says we're too high, be willing, Mr. Seller, Miss Seller, to step that price down just a little bit. Start doing a little stair-step price adjustment, price reduction until we get to a point where the market perks up and starts taking notice. Every time I give that speech to somebody, and reasonable, they always go, yeah, I like that idea. That's a good plan. And it's worked a lot. And I'll tell you what happens. I don't have a lot of statistics on this. I'm just going from just my experience. Most of the time I was right. Now, I don't mean that arrogantly, but it's the business that we're in. Most of the time you and I, we know what our market's like. We know what things are worth. And most of the time that plan will show that over time we were right about the market value. But I remember one time in particular, I would have been dead wrong had we gone with my numbers instead of the seller's expectation. 31-acre tract, on a lake it was a peninsula. I put X on it. The seller was thinking Y, and it came in closer to Y than it did X. And so we would have missed that upside if I would have been arrogant. If a real estate agent, knowing I know everything, and I would have been arrogant and let it go, we would have missed that upside, and the seller would have lost out. We'd have lost out on a sale too. So be willing to be flexible on these uncertain properties, on these unique things where the price could be a little higher than you're expecting. Communicate with the seller that if the market is saying that he's wrong, she's wrong, then let's stair step the price down just a little bit. Gradual steps until we get closer to the reality of the market. Folks, that's how we price stuff every day here at RecLand. It may be oversimplified. It may be, we have a much more sophisticated method than that. Well, fine, knock yourself out. That's what works for us. That's how we do it every day. That's how I get listings on properties ranging from little 39-acre deal to 7-figure deals and above. So anyway, appreciate you watching our videos. There's some more right there. Feel free to check them out. Bye.